are back. You are listening live to D. Williams on the D Factor Show. Guys, we've been together for about 3 weeks now. I mean, we're coming up on a 1-month anniversary, and I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm grinning from ear to ear. I'm grinning to ear out of excitement. It is just like one of the most remarkable feelings in the world to be able to have a dream and to just watch it unfold in front of you every day. Listen, this is going to be one of the most dynamic shows that you're ever going to experience on the D Factor Radio Show. We have an amazing guest today. I really want you, I encourage you to get by your phones, dial 404-355-8699 or toll free at 866-923-2860. Listen, if you can't get by a phone, I have been tweeting. I have a team that's tweeting, that's Facebooking, it's Google Plus, Instagram, LinkedIn. I mean, all over the web. I think my audience is about 500,000 people to date. So people, if you are near your iPad or your iPhone or your tablets or your Androids, I want you to move those fingers and ask questions, because this is the time to do it. There's nothing that's holding you back from unleashing your ideas. And we are inspiring and encouraging and motivating, inciting 1 million people to unleash their ideas by I was going to say August. That's my son's birthday. By December 31st, 2015. If you want a hashtag, we have a free t-shirt that we'll definitely give away, an Unleash Your Ideas t-shirt. Hashtag the UYI movement, at Your D Williams on Facebook, Your D Williams on Instagram, Your D Williams on Twitter, YOURDEE Williams. Call in 404-355-8699. All right. I'm excited. Okay. Listen, we're talking about unleashing the mindset, right? To unleash our ideas. And this young lady is so dynamic. Her name is Alena Edmondson. And I have to give her a very different introduction because I'm just crazy. I've like cyber stalked her like since I met her, which is not good, guys. But I have truly cyber stalked her. And I want to share some information that she had on her website. I want to talk a little bit about her, and then I want to bring her on. Okay, this is one of the reasons why I love her. On her website, she says, owning your own business is the American dream. Building a sustainable business requires a unique set of tools. Whether you're starting or growing a company, the Abundant Life Coaching and Training will help you live your dream and successfully navigate each step of your business. Happiness comes from doing what you love. Passion will lead to greatness, and money will follow. Chart a course for happiness and for living your dream today. And when I saw that, I thought, wow, the perfect guest for the perfect show, the D Factor Radio Show. I want to introduce Alena Edmondson. Guys, say hi to Alena. Hey, Alena.
Well, hello there.
I am like super groupie type psyched. Groupie type psyched to have you on the show. Lord knows what's going to happen when a real, I mean, a bigger, I'm not saying that a real,
okay.
But a bigger, you know what I mean. I say that with love. That comes on the show. I'm going to go crazy. Okay, so Alena, a co-founder of the Entrepreneurial Development Network, Global EDN. You are the founder of the Abundant Life Coaching and Training Center,
yes,
right?
That's correct.
Tell us about yourself before I ask questions, because I got like a list that's so long. But tell us about what you do. Tell us about
Absolutely. Well, thank you, first of all, for having me as your guest.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming to the Women to Women Conference where you saw me speak.
Yes.
How my path got started. My husband is an entrepreneur. I always say I'm married to an entrepreneur.
Awesome.
And we started the Entrepreneur Development Network together 18 years ago out of a need to help entrepreneurs understand how to really put a process in place. Because the way we verbalize it is that success only comes when you're prepared,
okay,
for the opportunity.
Okay.
But how do you prepare for that opportunity? And what we've done is put together a process, because when you go into a business, you're going to enter an industry. So now, how we started that, let me just back up a little bit. The journey really started when my husband was terminated from employment.
Okay.
So, he had this wonderful job, and because of, anyway, I'm not going to go into that, but he was terminated because, anyway, he had a heart attack.
Oh, wow.
And the job wanted him to come back, and then he wanted ownership, and the doctor wouldn't release him. So from that, 18 months, now we're talking about a mindset. For 18 months, my husband was unemployed. And now I'm thinking, what am I going to do? I was working double shifts in corporate America, trying to make ends meet.
Wow.
For 6 months. And after the 6-month process, I said, you know what, God, this is not my job here. I need to trust you. And for the other 12 months, my husband began to become the entrepreneur without the business.
Oh, wow.
When I say that, I mean, he would dress and he would just know that he was coming. So anyway, he was in the basement studying, and he saw this Black Enterprise magazine. They were looking for African Americans to own and operate a Denny's. So he, long story short, became the first African American to own and operate a Denny's franchise. Now, let me back up because I heard your story. Our story is he purchased $1 million restaurant. We had $251 in our checking account. No
Wow.
savings.
Wow.
I said he was unemployed. So he went from unemployment to deployment. So through that process, he changed his mindset. He became, see, we have to be before we can do. You can do only, as it relates to who you are. Who you are depends on how you are thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So his thinking changed. And that helped us. Anyway, so he bought $1 million restaurant. He became the nation's first African-American owned restaurant. And then he wrote my resignation letter from corporate America. Now, let me back up about that, because I can remember walking into commercial airline. I was working for Northwest Airlines. And one day I just said, you know what? I'm tired. Who said I had to work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week? Who said that? And, I just kept asking the question out of frustration, of course.
Yeah.
So, of course, and then that next year on my birthday is when he wrote the resignation letter. And, of course, I went to work for him. I became his president of operations and helping the training at the restaurant. But then from that, in the back of our restaurants, people would come and say, wow, how did you start this restaurant? How did you start this business? And so we were helping people understand the process of entrepreneurship.
Wow.
And we became the number one trainers in helping to put this model together. Fast forward. Thousands of entrepreneurs trained later. How did I get here as a coach? What made me want to become a coach? So the thousands of entrepreneurs we've trained, a lot of them are in business, but then there are some that didn't want that put those business plans. Because what we do is walk them through a process, step by step. Every week they were pulling a process together called a comprehensive business plan. Because when you get to where you're going, where will you be?
Wow. Right.
Okay?
Right.
So again, what we say is a vision is a goal with a deadline. Okay? So where are you going? And so we helped them put that plan together. But there were some who didn't graduate our course or who wrote wonderful business plans, but then they put them on the shelf. So that's what really ignited my passion for coaching. I'm like, well, God, why didn't you do it? Of course, we held focus groups because then we developed our own process, our own curriculum. And with the focus groups, many didn't believe.
Wow.
They didn't believe they can do it.
Whew.
And what is a belief? A belief is a repeated thought.
It's a repeated
that does
thought.
not have to be based in truth. So in my coaching practice, I help people connect, first of all, to the truth within. Because the biblical principle says, when Jesus says, when you know truth, it will make you free.
Right.
Make you free from what? Those limiting, self-sabotaging beliefs that we've been conditioned to operate in. It doesn't belong to us.
I love that. And, we were just talking about that a little while ago. That's exactly what I was living. I mean, I definitely thought, I'm not going to tell my whole life story, but, I definitely thought, I can't do this. Or if I quit my job, what's going to happen? Or who's going to say what? I really was thinking about what people were going to say about me.
Of course.
How they were going to view me.
Of course.
How I viewed myself. I thought, from so many perspectives, though, it wasn't even just how I view myself as a woman, but as a mom. If I can't feed my kids, how are my kids going to look at me? And how am I going to feel about myself about that? I literally fought through this. I had self-sabotage. I didn't believe I believed, but I didn't believe. You know, I
Yes.
thought, yeah, I can do this, but I was like, oh my gosh, like, can I really do this? Is this going to happen? Or guess what? I know this is going to happen. I know that's going to happen. If I go out there and I do this, then this is going to happen. If I go out there and do that, then that's going to happen. And you talk about, you know, in one of your training classes, how to stop asking for failure and to start creating abundant success. And I was asking for failure. I was asking, even though I knew that I wanted to be this person, you know, and I had this vision, I was still asking for my home to be gone. I was asking for the repossession. I was asking for everyone to not believe in me. I was asking for all of those things when really I didn't even want those things. So let me ask you, how do you stop asking for failure and start asking for success so that you can unleash your ideas and do what you're supposed to do? Because ultimately, if you're living your passion, you're living your purpose, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
First of all, let's go back to the process. Thoughts produces a feeling that generates an emotion. And look at emotion as energy in motion, because out of that emotion comes your reality. I'm going to start over. Thoughts produces a feeling that generates an emotion, and from that emotion is your reality. So you said, I know I want to start my business, or I know I want to do this consciously. See, but our consciousness is only 5% of who we are. Because that 95% subconscious mind is where we're creating from. So now let's go back to, again, our
Can you repeat that again? I'm sorry.
Sure. Consciously,
yeah.
it's what we say, I know I want more money. Okay, I desire more money. But you're feeling poor. That's how you're asking. Okay, so now let's go to the laws of the universe, or the law of attraction, or let's break it down, the law of love. Okay. Because this is what Jesus was talking about. When Jesus says, what things soever you desire, stop. When you pray, believe. Then you will receive it, right? Okay, so what is a belief? A belief is a repeated thought, which means your beliefs has to align with what you're thinking.
I love that.
Your beliefs so we think we're believing because we're saying, but that's our conscious mind.
Right.
But guess what? Our conscious mind is rooted in fear. Let's back up, because again, I am operating, my husband and I, for over 18 years, have operated our businesses. We've been married. We'll be celebrating 28 years, May 10th. Jerome Edmondson in the house.
I love it.
But
Can we get an applause on that one? Hold on, please.
And he is truly my hero, because I've seen where he come from. And, you know, he grew up no mother, no father. And he always says no excuse, because that's not who he was. That wasn't his identity. He knew what he wanted. So now, going back to how do we create? When you create out of your thoughts produces a feeling that generates an emotion that produces a result. So if I'm thinking that I want more money because I'm saying I want more money. But how are you feeling when you say it? Because something is going on the inside saying, you ain't going to get it. How's it going to come?
Yeah.
When it's going to come?
Yeah.
Who's going to bring it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That is that fear-based mentality. How do I replace that fear-based mentality? First of all, I've got to continue to think on these things that align, that makes me feel good. We got to reconnect to our emotions.
I love it.
That's the energy that God gave us. It's the reason. It's the internal guidance that helps us to align with what we want.
So what happens when you are constantly thinking, okay, so, and I'm just going back into D 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Okay, so I'm thinking I want this. You're right. There is that fear that's living inside saying, honey, you don't see it. Where's it going to come from? So, and you say, okay, D, in order to shift that, you have to focus on the things that you want versus the things that you see. Because you know, I say reality. We talk about reality. People focus so much on reality. What
is reality?
Well, people say, now don't ask D.
Come on, let's go there.
Because I have my own idea what reality is. But when I talk to people about reality, even my significant other, I say, you know, this what we see here is not real. And he says, well, it looks really real to me. If you get locked up today, that's real. You know, if you get in an accident, that's real. So I think people believe that reality is what they can touch and what they can feel.
Let's stop there.
Okay.
Because you ask, how can I get out of this cycle? First of all, perception is reality. And when the word says, be not conformed to this world, it wasn't talking about the earth. It wasn't talking about the universe. It was talking about a system of thought.
Okay.
Because this world system of thought is rooted in fear. That is not your reality.
That's not my reality.
So what is the opposite of fear? It's faith. So what is faith? According to Hebrews 11:1, it says now. First, stop. Now. Faith is not tomorrow. It is not yesterday. As a matter of fact, yesterday and tomorrow are simply thoughts. They don't exist. So now, faith is the substance of things hoped for. And what is hope? Hope is not a wish. Hope defined is confident expectation. Start over. Now faith is the substance of things that I confidently expect.
Whew.
And it is the evidence of things that I don't see.
I love that. And I love that. Oh my God. You are listening to the De Facto Radio Show, 404-355-8699, toll free 866-923-2860. Listen, guys, we're here with Alena Edmondson. I'm clapping like I'm in church, kind of, because y'all know I get so excited. And I mean, just the things that I'm speechless. Alena, listen, I confidently hope that my show will be amazing.
Confidently expect.
I expect it.
Okay.
I confidently expect. That's right. Tell me.
Right.
Help me get it together here. Don't leave me out there on the wing. and that's so true. And so you're saying, listen, D, you have to constantly, and I say D because you're talking to me,
That's
even
right.
though we're talking to the audience here. I take this as you're talking to D Williams. Everything that I have on my walls, we talked about earlier, you know, and I won't share about my mansion and my and all the things that I confidently expect.
That's right.
But that's basically what you're saying. So listen, okay, so we have two callers in right now. We have Avery from Southeast Atlanta. Hey, Avery.
Hi, good evening, ladies. How are you?
Great, awesome.
Great.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. Dee, let me ask you a personal question. When is your birthday?
January 30th.
Oh, happy belated birthday.
Thank
Sorry
you.
about that. You wear at 25.
Thank you so much. Now, we got to get you some T-shirt for you. Make sure you leave your address so we can get you a T-shirt on.
No, the reason why I called is because you was talking about replacements. And, you know, in this day and time, the days of working 20, 25, 30 years on a job is no more. The days of getting a gold watch is no more. Now, I heard a rumor. I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard a rumor that Top Gun 2 is going to come out. You know the first movie, Top Gun?
Yeah, I remember Tom Cruise.
Yeah, Tom Cruise. So the reason why this movie is going to come out is because they talk about replacing the Navy pilots with drones, and he didn't like the idea that they're being replaced. I mean, you know, in the first movie, he was a lieutenant. 03. That's equivalent to a captain in the Army. So now he probably should be about a 06, a captain in the Navy, and that's equivalent to a colonel in the Army. But anyway, he don't like the fact that none of them is not flying no more. They're getting replaced by drones. So, you know, I mean, he's in the Navy to a certain degree, but then again, he's not flying no more. He's grounded, so to speak. You know what I mean? Not because of disciplinary reasons, but because he's getting replaced by a machine. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I tell anybody out there, man, you have to be a jack of all trades, master of none. I mean, if something or somebody's replacing you and go on to something else with your time. So that's all he knows is flying. All he knows is aeronautics. You know what I mean?
Right.
Aviation. So I mean, I don't know if when the movie's going to come out, but I do know that they talking about it. You know, I just heard it the other day that they was going to bring out the movie. So I said, okay, this might be pretty good because this time is, you know, he's much older now. He's much wiser. He's been seasoned in the military. So then again, you know, he's being replaced by a drone. So I mean, if that's all he knows is aviation and flying, then what can he really do? You know what I mean?
Well, that's why I think it's super important that we all stay very much so ahead of the curve in everything that we do, so that we're not replaced, but we are replacing, what the last thing that's going out and becoming what's new. Is that where you're going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured that, even though that's all he knows is flying, I just hope he changes his mentality, because, if you can't fly no more, then it's best you just go ahead and retire from the Navy and go into something else better to do with your time, because, hey, if you're going to be being replaced by a drone, it's quite obvious that the Navy has better plans than with you being involved. So this is best that you just put your papers in and retire and go on about your business. But thank you for taking my time, and y'all have a good night.
Thanks, Avery. We appreciate you calling as always. Thank you. We also have another caller. We have Jerome Edmondson on the line. Jerome, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you all?
I'm amazing. Thank you.
Hello.
And I'm enjoying the show, especially the voice of Miss Alena Edmondson, and the great job that she's doing there on your show today.
Awesome.
But to really call in to your listeners and just to really let them know that when we spent so many years, 20 plus years, developing our entrepreneurs, I got discouraged because I would have all the resources. We would have the funding. We'd have the financial institutions. I've always had a relationship in Washington, sitting on the White House Business Council now. I was vetted to run the Southeast region for SBA by the Obama administration, and we had every resource available for people to become successful. But we could never understand why, when they finished the business planning process and they had all the tools and resources in place, what was stopping them from moving forward. Mm-hmm. When this important piece that Alena pulled together is people had gone through different things in their life. And they've gone through so many things that, it may have been like when I was a child, no mother, no father. And, everybody said you grow up, you'll never amount to anything. And sometimes those fears of the past stop from moving forward in the area when God is right there ready to move us. And so once she began to talk to people about life, we understood that what people needed to do is go through a process to understand and have the faith that they could do this. And think about the impossibilities, because, no matter how I grew up, that was never my reality. Yeah. It was never my reality. So you can spend all of your life thinking about failure, but Alena has helped us all, even me as her husband and as a father and as a business owner. I'm building a call center in Dunwoody, Georgia. We're getting ready to hire 200 plus folks. We've got 400 people in Guadalajara. We got 400 employees in Mexico City. Why do I go out and what folks call take those risks as an entrepreneur? That's not risk. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. We shall have dominion. And if anything I'm going to believe that we can possess the land. So what I want the listeners to understand, and what Alena is sharing today, is that we live what she's talking about. This is not an exercise. This is authentic work. But the piece that helped take us over the hoop or take us into reality is what she is now taking out to the marketplace, and that's about the abundance life coaching. Right. Let's get rid of your problems, let's get rid of your issues, let's get rid of your fears, and move into the promises that are yours, because all of us got a very little time here on planet Earth. Right. And that we have here on planet Earth, we need to make sure that we leave an inheritance for our children's children, our grandbabies and our children, our first generation debt-free. It's not because of luck or lottery ticket. It's because of faith and how we believe. And we want to pass that belief on to you, D, your listeners, and everybody that wants to join a part. And I'm excited that my wife, D, I'm going to tell you something. It's taken me about 10 plus years to get this woman to do this.
Okay, Mr. Edmondson.
I'm gonna get her next, D. But I'm so happy that she's doing this now, because, as you said at Maya Angelou's event, we've been getting phone calls from people around the world that heard her for those 10 minutes, and her new book is coming out and everything. But I just wanted to call and encourage you both to keep pushing in this direction, because people need you, D. People need you, Alena, and they need to hear this, because folks are afraid to that next level. And I'm going to let you overpass fear. There's some things. Beat yourself up that you've never seen. So move forward.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Jerome. I appreciate that. That was awesome. And I need that encouragement too sometimes, when, a prime example, the last couple of shows we've done, we haven't had any callers. And I'm like, oh my gosh, am I impacting people? Are people motivated? So I'm glad to hear, somebody say, Dee, keep doing it because you are impacting. Yes. And actually, over the last couple of weeks, even though I felt some kind of way, people have been calling me saying, I heard the show this weekend and oh man, when that lady said this or when that guy said that, it really allowed me to look at things a little bit differently. And I'm hoping that tonight's show is going to do wonders for you. I really, one of my favorite people in the entire world is my best friend, Jasmine. She lives in D.C. and we talk constantly about unleashing ideas and kind of taking that step. And they're just like I went through my phase of fear. I sometimes think she's going to kill me for saying this on the radio, but I sometimes think that she has this fear. And I've been texting her like, this is for you, because whatever it is that you want to do, you can do it. And we do all have those fears. Yeah. How, for someone, what if somebody doesn't know that they are living in fear? How do you help someone recognize, honey bunny, this is fear that you're dealing with. This is not, this is not what you think it is, because some people don't realize that, hey, I'm afraid. They think they're fearless, but in the back of their mind, I'm sure they are having these thoughts. How do you?
And we are so desensitized to how we're feeling. First of all, I would ask them, how do you feel? How does your way of thinking make you feel? Because that is your indicator. That's your internal guidance. And then I will remind them, you are not your mind. You are an individualized expression of the oneness of God. Just think about that for a moment. You are not your mind. So, again, if I would say, Dee, point to yourself. Let me just say that. Point to yourself.
I will point to me.
Yes.
Right.
And so what Dee did, she pointed to her heart. And many times when I use the exercises in groups, everybody points to their heart and not their head. So if we say that, if I ask you who you are and point to yourself, and you point to your heart and not your head, why are we so tangled up in these thoughts? And do you know that we have over 60,000 thoughts in one day?
Oh, I believe it. Because I can't sleep sometimes.
Right, and many of them we're not aware of, but it's the subconscious. 95% of who we really are, we're not aware of.
Wow.
That is why it is important for us to align with, why do you think the Bible says, in the book of Isaiah, God would say, my thoughts are not your thoughts. Because we're talking about the mind. My ways are not your ways. And he gave us a clue. He said, they're far above. They're higher. So now, what does that mean? We know that God is a God of love. Anything outside of love is an illusion. It doesn't exist. But you give it power. So, okay, just like you said, things appear in our life experience that we don't necessarily agree with.
Right.
And so what we tend to do let me back up. We don't know who we are. We don't realize that we are spiritual beings having a human experience.
And see, I was going to say that. A lot of people don't know who they are. I didn't know who
I
was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because we're conditioned in this time-space reality. We think we're just this physical being.
Right.
Okay. But when God says that his ways are not our ways, we've got to align with his ways. How do we do that? We've got to, first of all, connect back to who we are. We've got to remember that I'm not my mind. What is it that I want? We've got to be clear. Many of us don't know what we want. If I were to ask you, what do you want? Because many of my clients ask, okay, what do you want? Well, I know I don't want this, and I know I want that, and this has appeared in my life. Okay, so because it has appeared, you believe it? Remember, faith says that it's the substance of things that we hope for and the evidence of things that we don't see.
Right.
So just because we don't see it, we don't believe it?
Well, that's just like the wind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So because something has appeared, this has to be real. It's reality. And because of who you are, let's get back to who you are. Because you are a spiritual being, an individualized expression of the oneness of God, you're putting your attention on it. And wherever your attention goes, your energy flows, right?
Yeah.
And then that thing grows in your life.
Yeah.
And because you're focusing on it, it's growing. And you say, I told you.
Yeah.
Look, it's getting bigger.
Yeah.
I told you.
Yeah.
It's because you're putting your attention on it.
Yeah.
What do? Contrast. We live in a contrasting environment, society. It is not the universe that God created, because when he created, he said it was all good. So we live actually in an abundant universe. It all depends on where you're putting your attention. So when contrast enters your life experience, it only comes to help you to become clear. With clarity, what do you want? Oh, well, I know I don't want that. Okay, so let's get rid of that.
Okay.
Let's remove your attention from that thing.
Okay.
And put your attention wholly and solely on that which you want, and watch God. Okay, there's a 3-step process. Ask, believe, and receive, right?
Yes.
Okay, but we get challenged on the belief part. Well, I don't see it, so I can't believe it.
Right.
And then the receiving part, we block. We don't allow it to come.
Because we don't believe.
Because we offer resistance in the form of fear, doubt, unbelief, frustration, disappointment, overwhelmment. When God just says, okay, what do you want? The answer is yes. Ask, and it is given. So our challenge, and what I help clients do, is to connect with that thing that they want. So they have to affirm it. They've got to see it. I love Albert Einstein's quote. He says, your imagination is your preview for life's coming attraction.
Oh, I love that one. Yes.
But then the Bible also talks about imagination. It says, cast down imagination and every high thing that exalts itself above the knowledge of God. What does that mean? God is saying, yes, he's walking in love, and you're saying, no, you're walking in fear. Cast that imagination down.
You are listening to the D Factor radio show. I have the best guest in the world on my show today, Alena Edmondson. Give us a call, 404-355-8699, toll free, 866-923-2860. Guys, we want to hear from you. I can't even look at my social media, honestly. I want to, I know people are doing things and saying things. I haven't really had the opportunity to do so because I am literally staring at her. I'm so engrossed, like, oh my gosh, this lady's amazing. Alena Edmondson, guys, she's going to stick around with us. Do not go far. We are not done. We're going to talk about how to feel more confident more often, okay, when we come back. So, Alena Edmondson, you're on the D Factor radio show. Stick around.